Hello, this is Sinister Gambino here with a new video. In this video I'm going to be doing a review and guide on the Phantom Wedge special vehicle. And I'm doing it because it had an update with the Arena War DLC, and it's 1,920,000 at a trade price. I'm not sure what the normal price is. By the way, you get the trade price by doing a special vehicle work related to this vehicle. And as you saw earlier, you cannot customize the Phantom Wedge in any way, shape, or form. As for the performance of the vehicle in lap time and top speed, it is third place, just being behind the custom variant of this vehicle, the Phantom Custom, which doesn't have a wedge option at all, and then the Hauler Custom, both from the gun running update. By the way, refer to Brefi 1322 for the times that this vehicle got in lap time and in top speed. But the first quirk that I really wanted to show off with the Phantom Wedge is that you can use a big variety of weapons actually in the side seats and the back seat on the upper half of the Phantom Wedge. I think the only difference between the three seats is the side ones give you the ability to use throwables, unless if it was only the back seat. Yeah, it was only the back seat. The other ones don't have the ability for throwables. Now for a couple tests and damage resistance. Unfortunately, this vehicle has a very vulnerable weak spot where you can just shoot anything at it and it will pretty much explode. Big gas canisters on it. And with the minigun, it survived like about 200 rounds and then doesn't have any explosive resistance whatsoever. And then I also wanted to put the RAM up to the test. Now this is where it got updated with the Arena Wars DLC. Before in free mode you could only run into 30 vehicles, I believe it was, and then your Phantom Wedge would be destroyed. You would have to call another one, which made it much less viable. Now it's unlimited, just like on the special vehicle work. So that turns into a much more viable vehicle. And by the way, that also applies for those gun running cell missions. That one as well also has the unlimited ramming ability. And I wanted to show off that you can destroy more than 30, so I think I ran into 100 on this clip. I believe it got updated, by the way, because I'm pretty sure all the Arena War vehicles that can ram into things as effectively, if not a little less effectively than the Phantom Wedge, can do so unlimitedly as well. But as for the effectiveness of this ram does a very great job at getting vehicles out of the way, and it barely impacts the vehicle with its speed, in my opinion. However, that might mainly be because it's a semi-truck, personally, for me. Unfortunately, as the Phantom Wedge is a special vehicle, it means it cannot, unfortunately, be used in contact missions. Otherwise, I would show off how effective it is in a contact mission and would give it, a rating of how good it is. However, another trade-off is that you don't have to pay the insurance, if I didn't already explain that on my clips going over the damage resistance test. How exactly does the Phantom Wedge perform in a VIP work? In my opinion, for the specific ones I did, at least, it performs pretty well, actually. For this one, of course, since it's the vehicle that unlocks a plowed VIP work in the first place, it is the one vehicle you can really do this VIP work with. I don't even really know if you can destroy the other crates, like the crates and whatnot, with other vehicles. I'm not entirely too sure on that. If anyone knows if you can and can confirm it, I would be interested to know. That's not really the main focus of this video. And then I also tested it on Hostile Takeover, which you'll only see if I really need the video time in order to further discuss the pro and con list. But it did very great in hostile territory. You don't have to get out of the vehicle to collect that package, which I believe you do for Sightseer, and then I was just easily able to get to the drop off, no problem. The cops didn't like shoot me out and kill me in the vehicle or anything like that. So with that out of the way, I'll go into the pros and the cons list. So the first pro that I had for this vehicle is there's no insurance for destroying it, which can be considered good and bad, but I totally think it's a much better thing that it doesn't have insurance costs. Personally, I think that's something that every weaponized vehicle should have, no insurance, so that when you defend yourself against weaponized vehicles, you don't get penalized for doing so. Which, by the way, the reason it has that technically is because it's classified as a special vehicle, as I showed when showing you can't use it in contact missions earlier. It was in the special vehicle list. As for the second pro I had for it, and by the way, if I didn't mention, I have 8 pros and 8 cons, so I had an equal representation for both for this vehicle, is that it's one of the original Raymond vehicles. Import-Export technically introduced the first 2 Raymond vehicles into the game, which was technically really nice. So for the nostalgia of that, it's kind of cool to have it. And then the third pro I have for it is it's top 3 in the commercial class. And as I said earlier, it applies for both lap time and top speed. So it performs very great for being in the commercial class. And by the way, yes, it's in the commercial class. There is a couple other classes that could be considered similar to the commercials class. Just in case anyone was confused, it is in the commercials class. As for the fourth pro I found, it was that it has 5 seats, which in my opinion for a commercial like semi-truck vehicle, it is very impressive for it to seat 5 people. Having 3 in the back area, which typically people wouldn't really sit on as far as I know. In fact, I think a lot of day 1, if not like all the day 1 vehicles like that are semi-trucks, don't allow for 5 seats, have 2 typically, if not like all of them. As for the 5th pro I put it can shoot crazy varieties of weapons in the back seats. So as I showed, it can shoot like RPGs, throwables. I'm talking about the like way back seats, the 3 on the back, by the way. And like you could even shoot assault rifles and all that on the seats, which is very cool. And then for the next pro I have for the vehicle, I put you can use throwables in the backmost seat. So that's only the back seat, like the backmost one, so the way back one of those 3 back seats. And then the 7th pro I have for it is it is required to unlock the Plowed VIP work. This kind of goes both ways, which I'll get into later as a pro and a con. But in my opinion, it's mainly a pro. Kind of gives an incentive to purchase the vehicle, which I really like. Especially the fact that you have to, at first, purchase a vehicle warehouse just to even get the vehicle, which I'll get into later as well. And then the final pro I have for it is that it can run into vehicles unlimitedly, and that's as of the Arena War DLC. So literally, since the latest update, and that was literally the only update that allows it by far, every other update from import-export from After Hours, I believe was the one right before Arena War, those back then you could not run into vehicles unlimitedly. As for the 8 cons of this vehicle that I personally thought of, the first one I have is that it requires a vehicle workshop to purchase. Now, I do understand it, so I'm not going to have that con reflect the review score. I just think it is a con personally, but I do understand why they did it. Technically, if you have to purchase a property before you can even purchase any sort of vehicle, that can technically be considered a con, even if it is remotely understandable. That's my reason for putting in the cons list, though I do understand why. For the second con I put you still need to be able to ram 30 vehicles, as I explained more in the pros section. But of course it will not impact review score, as that has been changed with the Arena War DLC. For the third con I have for the vehicle, I put that it cannot be customized, especially being introduced in the same DLC that allowed for the custom auto shops on the top of the executive garage, where you can put any vehicle from your executive garage up there to customize. I think the fact that it was introduced in the same update the Phantom Wedge was in makes it unexcusable for not having any sort of customization. Similar to how you could customize things in the bunker like 2 DLCs later, I think it should have worked that same way, but for the vehicle warehouse. And then for the fourth con I have for the vehicle is that you cannot use throwables on the side seats, in the back specifically, that is. Which I really don't understand why, because you can still use the RPG and the compact grenade launchers. I'm sure you could throw things like backwards, like from behind the front of the vehicle, so I really don't entirely understand why. And by the way, here's the run of the hostile takeover I was talking about. You might be pretty shocked at the results. I personally kind of didn't expect to be able to do it as efficiently as I did. But yeah, my next con that I had for the vehicle is that it has an extremely obvious weak spot, which is where I shot the advanced rifle at on the one clip from earlier. It took like 43 bullets at maximum. Now that might have been like a few or so after the initial explosion. So it doesn't really have good resistance to damage at all, which goes into the next con, which has minimal damage resistance. I do understand it though. It's not an armored semi-truck necessarily, like ones from 2 updates later with the gun running update. So I do understand it, so I may not be having that impact my review score. The next con I have for the vehicle is that it cannot be used in contact missions, which is definitely a really big deal in my opinion personally. I'm pretty sure there's already vehicles that aren't special vehicles that can be used in contact missions, but still can't be used in heists. So it would have been nice to be able to use special vehicles in contact missions, because they're not really getting a big amount of money. It's not going to make like the missions completely broken, because the pays aren't really that good anyways, like with heists. So I really hope that eventually down the line it can be used in contact missions. And then for the last con I have, and the last thing in general for my list of things that the vehicle is good and bad at, is that it once again is required for unlocking Cloud. Like I said earlier, it can kind of fit in both categories. And then in addition, I put it can possibly, it's the only vehicle that's used for destroying the pod crates. Which means you might not be able to like blow it up with a Hydra, for example, to crates. So you might actually have to physically travel with the Phantom Wedge to destroy them, which doesn't make the VIP work that easy to do when you're playing with a group, with one person using the Phantom Wedge and other people using whatever attack vehicles they typically use, just make the mission easier. But I'm going to give this vehicle a 7 out of 10. And that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed.